Hello and welcome back to All the Words She Wrote. Last time our girls finally talked a bit about their emotions and their worries, so let's see if our relationship will improve finally. I wake up early the following morning and attend to a few chores about the house. Then, at 9, I begin cooking. I bought enough ingredients yesterday to make dozens and dozens of batches of pancakes, so I have ample reserves in case I make any mistakes. Not that I intend to do that, of course. I'm pretty confident when it comes to cooking. It's my one and only skill, which saves me from being utterly useless. Pancakes aren't at all complicated to make. They only require a few basic ingredients and scarcely any time. I've not made pancakes all that often. My family prefers traditional Japanese breakfasts, all white rice and miso soup, but it doesn't take very long before I get the process down pat. I can even flip my pancakes in the pan, just like a real pro. I hum an old Palette Princess track to myself while I cook. The pan sizzles and the pancake batter begins to solidify. It's like a science experiment, but distinctly more delicious. The buttery smell of freshly made pancakes soon permeates the kitchen. They smell pretty good, if I do say so myself. My mouth's starting to water. I plate up 5 almost perfect pancakes, as round and fluffy as anything you'd order in Petit Jardin, and top them with a pat of sunshine yellow butter and maple syrup. Once I'm convinced the pancakes look as good as I can get them, I take the plate in hand and head upstairs. I'm careful as I take the steps not to tilt the plate. I don't want to spill sticky droplets of golden syrup down my fingers or on the floor. That'd be a pain to clean up, and it'd ruin the aesthetic appeal of the breakfast that Well, it'd be a lie if I said I labored over it. Pancakes are pretty simple to whip up, but I really did give it my all. I can't wait to see the look on Hijiri's face when I present her with these pancakes. If she lets me inside her bedroom, that is. Now, that's quite a big if. I think we've come to a newfound understanding, but I still don't know how much she trusts me. I come to a halt outside Hijiri's bedroom door, then rap on it with my knuckles. Hijiri, are you awake? I hear a familiar stirring from the other side of the door, which is soon paired with a familiar voice. Just about, yes. I take it that means she just woke up. She sounds pretty groggy. I suppose it is 9:30. Most businessmen in Tokyo would be at the office already, but Hijiri often stays in bed until 10 or 11, or even later. You make it sound like that's late. To some people it would be, of course, but yeah. She's a bit like a teenage boy during Golden Week in that sense. Excuse me? I'm feeling personally attacked here. Oh well, she's cute, so I can't get too mad at her. Are you in the mood to eat? I made you a few pancakes, like I said I would. Pancakes? I hear an inhalation of air. Though I can't see Hijiri's face, I can imagine her eyes widening, sparkles forming about her face like a scene from a romance manga. Are they as good as the ones from Petit Jardin? I don't know about that. I tried one of the rejects and it didn't taste bad, but I'm not a pancake connoisseur like you. You'll have to decide that for yourself. I'll try not to get my hopes up then. Oh, come on, don't be like that. You might be pleasantly surprised. Or profoundly disappointed. Maybe so, but you shouldn't discredit them until you've given them a go. Good point. Hijiri sighs. I hear her shifting, then the padding of feet against her floor. I bet she's foregone socks, as she often seems to around the house. Putting them on must be too much effort for her, as is changing out of that scruffy old tracksuit. Doesn't she have any nicer clothes in her wardrobe? I don't expect Hijiri to doll herself up like one of the girls from Palette Princess, but I'd love to see her in something a bit girlier. Let me take a look at these pancakes then. Hijiri slides her bedroom door to one side and reveals herself to me, in all her tracksuit-clad glory. Her hands are folded, as they so often are, and she's pouting. Her hair is tied back in her two customary buns, but they look even messier than usual, if such a thing is possible. She must have rolled out of bed 5 minutes prior. She looks distinctly rumpled, almost woebegone, but her narrowed eyes are razor sharp. I'm seeing so many funny words here. Maybe just funny to me, so doesn't mean anything. I suppose they don't look too bad. Hijiri peers at the plate of pancakes in my hands like a real sommelier. They don't look burned at least, and they smell good too. I'll reserve my judgment until I actually eat them though. Do you want to come inside, Mayo? I can? If you want. It's only fair after you went to the effort of making me these pancakes. I'd feel bad shutting you outside. And I'm sure you're dying to know what I think. Am I ever? I was thinking of your smiling face while I was making these pancakes. I'd feel very honored if you'd let me see that. There's no guarantee that I'll smile. I might spit the first bite out in disgust. Would you feel honored then? Of course! Spending time with you is enough to make me happy. Wow. Goodness me. Hijiri shakes her head. You really are a fool. But I should expect nothing less from a fan of Elf Forest. At least you don't pair your foolishness with maliciousness like other people do. There are worse things one can be than an idiot. Now, come inside. The pancakes will get cold. Hijiri ushers me inside her bedroom, and I hasten to answer her invitation. I haven't been inside Hijiri's room since the first disastrous day that I came here, but it looks about the same as I remember. Hijiri's floor is tatami, but the rest of the decor is conspicuously Western. Her room smells musty, like dirty clothes and instant noodles. When was the last time she opened a window? The trash can by Hijiri's desk is overflowing with PET bottles and empty snack wrappers, and the floor is strewn with clothes I've never seen Hijiri wear before. There are dirty plates dotted here and there, among the scattered trash, and other bits and pieces I can't name. I have to step carefully in Hijiri's room, in case I step on something breakable. Navigating her room feels a bit like playing a game of Minesweeper. Your room is as interesting as ever, I see. I glance about, an awkward smile on my face. Don't you ever feel like tidying up in here? Why bother? It'll just get messy again. Not if you're careful, it won't. I don't have the time to worry about little things like that. I'm supposed to be writing. You might feel more like writing if you worked in a nicer environment, though. I hear an alarming crunch underfoot, then look down. I'm terrified I might have stepped on something expensive, but to my relief, it turns out to be a can of soda. I sigh. I can tidy up in here if you want. I don't mind. That is part of my job. It's fine. I'm used to the mess. You might be used to it, but that doesn't mean you like it, does it? Maybe not. Hijiri shrugs. It'll take a long time to clean up. It might, but I won't let it defeat me. I'm sure I can manage it. I have some doubts about that. Hijiri takes the plate of pancakes from my hands, then sits down at her desk. For now, at least, I want to eat. Of course. I'm sorry if I overstepped any boundaries. It's fine. Hijiri picks up her knife and fork, then offers me a small, rare smile. I'm glad that you care. It makes a nice change. Doesn't Sae care about you? She does, but she doesn't stop by very often. She's too busy. She only comes once every fortnight or so, and even then it's to talk about deadlines. Everything boils down to work with her. She is a bit of a workaholic, I guess. It, dominates her whole life. Tell me about it. What about your parents then? Your mother and father? Don't they worry about you? At this, Hijiri's small smile vanishes. She frowns, her face stony, and says stiffly, Let's not go there. The pancakes are getting cold. Oh, alright. I lean back in my chair, my brow furrowed. I don't know much or anything about Hijiri's family circumstances, but her reaction makes it apparent that things are less than ideal. Did Hijiri and her family have some kind of fight? Maybe they're estranged or completely absent. For all I know, she might not have parents anymore. They could have died years ago. I guess that was an insensitive question. I shouldn't have pried into Hijiri's private life like that. I open my mouth, meaning to apologize, but pause. I'm afraid lingering on this topic unduly will hurt Hijiri, which is the last thing I want. I made Hijiri these pancakes with the hope of making her smile. Poking at what might be old wounds before she begins to eat would undermine all my efforts. I watch as Hijiri cuts into the stack of pancakes. She brings a piece of pancake, glazed in butter and maple syrup, to her lips. She chews. Then she swallows. So, how does it taste? My eyes meet Hijiri's from across the room. I feel so anxious, I can't help but squirm. I hope my pancakes were sweet enough, as at the very least, to expunge the bitter memories of her parents from our mind, but it's hard to gauge her reaction. Hijiri isn't smiling, like I'd hoped. Is that a bad thing? Time seems to pass slowly, like a video played back at half or maybe a quarter of the original speed. Then, after a pause, They aren't bad. Hijiri replies softly, her brown eyelashes trembling. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that your pancakes are quite good. Surprisingly so. Thank goodness. I expel a relieved sigh, then smile at my grumpy employer. Do you want me to make you pancakes like this every day? I can, if you think they'll get your creative juices flowing. I really would do anything for you, Hijiri. Anything, Hijiri ponders, one hand beneath her chin. Would you make me a fruit flan? Of course. Or an apple pie? It would be my pleasure. Or a tarte tatin? I don't know how to make that, but that's what the internet's for. I'm sure I could find 1 or 2 recipes. Wouldn't that be a bother? It's no bother at all. When I said I'd do anything for you, I really meant it. I just want to make you happy. Mayo. Hijiri blinks. A pink blush spreads across her cheeks. It's barely visible given how dark her room is, but I'm able to catch it regardless. I can notice the slightest, most subtle of shifts upon Hijiri's face. I can't help but observe her, like certain fanatics do trains or insects, though of course Hijiri is far cuter than both of those things. You really are trying, aren't you? That's right, I'm doing my best. Your best, huh? Hijiri looks down at her stack of pancakes, copiously coated in maple syrup. I was a bit skeptical at first, but it seems you intend to keep your word. You're surprisingly trustworthy. I can see that you mean to uphold your end of our agreement, so... Hijiri's brown eyes meet mine, and, after a moment's hesitation, a smile captures her lips. I shall do the same. I haven't exerted myself in quite some time, so this should be a novel experience. Let us see where this takes us. It's funny, I thought I'd lost all of my passion for elf forest, but... Hijiri's smile widens. Now, I'm almost excited to see how things pan out. Ah, we're getting somewhere, it seems. Following her declaration, Hijiri begins to hole herself away in her room like a hermit. That's not new though, is it? Oh well. She spends her days and nights cooped up inside there, hunched over her desk. She doesn't leave, save for the moments when she goes to the bathroom, and she doesn't eat any of her meals with me. We rarely exchange words, but I don't hold it against her. I know that this time at least, Hijiri isn't ignoring me for the sake of it. Hijiri's simply too busy to spare me the time. Hijiri hasn't announced it officially, perhaps in an attempt to curb any premature enthusiasm, but I suspect she's working on Elf Forest's 9th volume. Why else would she be in her room 23 hours a day, chained over her desk? And that's gotta be what she's up to. I'm certain of it. There's something pretty exciting about that thought. While I potter about the house, sweeping floors and wiping down windows, Hijiri is busy working on a masterpiece, right beneath my nose. I feel like I'm residing under the roof of a real genius. Hijiri might as well be Van Gogh, working on his famous painting of the sunflowers. Not that I know much about Van Gogh. Was he the one who cut off his own ear, or was that another artist? I don't know if there's much crossover between painters and writers, but creative thoughts all seem to be a bit unbalanced. Maybe it comes with the territory? That's something I'd like to ask Hijiri about, but I decide to keep my distance. I don't want to distract her with my pointless musings, not while she's working. I'd also like, and fervently at that, to take a sneak peek at her writing before it hits the shelves, but I doubt she'd grant me my selfish request. Hijiri's something of a perfectionist. I think she'd rather die than show me an unfinished manuscript. I'll have to wait for Volume 9's official release before I can read it, just like everybody else. But geez, does it gnaw at me. I can't help but wonder what exactly Hijiri is working on, shut away in her room, which makes me feel restless. Left with no better way to pass my time, and no real means of supporting Hijiri, I throw myself into the household chores with a renewed energy. I make Hijiri extravagant meals, scrub the bathtub clean, and polish the floorboards in the entrance hall until they're spotless. These seem like pretty empty gestures, given how hard Hijiri herself is working, but I feel like I have to do something. I can't afford to rest on my laurels while Hijiri's toiling away. I vowed to do everything in my power to help Hijiri write, and that's exactly what I intend to do. I won't let anything distract her from her labors. Before I know it, a whole week passes. I see neither hide nor hair of Hijiri during this time, but she eats the meals I leave by her bedroom door. In the past, she only picked at her food, but during this week of fevered activity, she eats every last bite, right down to the individual grains of rice. I guess she must be shoring up her strength. When I next clap eyes on Hijiri, it's at the weekend. She leaves her room, not because I suspect she wants to, but because she has to. Sai has another meeting scheduled with her, so she can discuss her progress. I know neither Hijiri nor Sai enjoy these meetings, but I think Sai will be pleasantly surprised by Hijiri's shift in attitude. Or at least, I hope she is. Sai arrives around 11 in her sleek black car. I hear her pull up outside and hasten to meet her, smiling as I do. Sai, it's good to see you again. I hope you had a nice drive here. Oh, these country roads are always a pain to navigate. I'm still in one piece though, which is a blessing. Sai laughs, but her face is taut with tension. I think she's anxious about her upcoming meeting with Hijiri. She's no doubt worrying, beneath her carefully made-up face, how much, or how little, work Hijiri has done in her absence. I've no doubts she's preparing herself for a worst-case scenario. I guess when it comes to Hijiri, Sai lost her faith a long while ago. Is working with Hijiri really that difficult? Having known Hijiri for around a month myself, I think I can answer that question quite plainly. Yes, it certainly is. Hijiri can be an immense pain when she wants, which is funny given how small she is, but I have faith in her regardless. She certainly sounded sincere when she said she was going to work harder. I'm sure she's made a whole bunch of progress. When she gets serious, there's nothing Hijiri can't do. If she didn't have the talent or the drive, Elf Forest wouldn't be half as successful as it is. Hijiri really does have something special, whether she recognizes it or not. Come inside. Hijiri's waiting for you in the living room. I'm sure the two of you will have a bunch to talk about. I lead Sai indoors. She follows, closing the door behind her, and bends to remove her shoes. Sae sighs while undoing one of the silver buckles, her bobbed hair swishing against her cheekbones, and says, "That depends on how much work she's done. I'd like to believe in her, but, well, I've been having these meetings with Hijiri for the last 6 months and they've all been inconclusive. I'd be foolish to get my hopes up now." Now. I smile at Sae. "Don't be so down. Hijiri's been working really hard since you left, you know." "Oh, has she?" Sae arranges her shoes in a row beside mine and straightens, one neatly plucked eyebrow raised. "That will be the day." "Don't you have any faith in her?" "It isn't that. I know Hijiri can work hard when she chooses to. But as of late, it's clear she's not felt much like choosing to. Motivating her is almost impossible. She's so stubborn to the point of self-destructiveness. I could light a literal fire beneath her, and I doubt she'd make any attempts to put it out. I come away from each of our meetings feeling more and more dispirited. She's so listless, I worry she might have given up on writing altogether." "I'm sure that's not true. I know Hijiri's been having a hard time lately, but she's not the sort to call it quits. She has way too much pride for that." "Well, you might be right there." Sae chuckles. "It sounds like you understand Hijiri very well." "I've been trying to. It's not always easy. She's about as communicative as a brick wall. But there's one thing she didn't bank on. I'm stubborn too. I don't like backing down from a challenge." "If it's a challenge you're after, getting through to Hijiri certainly qualifies. I shouldn't speak ill of my own clients, but nobody frustrates me as much as she does. She isn't a bad person, but..." Sae's voice trails away, and bashfully she smiles. "Oh, listen to me. I shouldn't be gossiping so. Not in Hijiri's own house. My manners must have deserted me."
"I concur."
A quiet voice interrupts us, which makes both Sae and I start.
"Hijiri?"
I whip about to face her. She's standing in the hallway, arms crossed, wearing one of her many oversized tracksuits. Hijiri looks much the same as always. Her feet are bare, and she isn't wearing any makeup, though I think she did put a touch more effort than usual into her appearance. Her hair looks slightly less ratty than usual, like it's actually seen a brush. Did she do that for Sae's sake?
"I thought you were waiting in the living room." "I was waiting in the living room until I got tired of it. You were taking too long. I was wondering what the holdup was and whether it was anything serious. But now I can see that I was worrying unnecessarily. Did the pair of you enjoy gossiping about me and how incredibly awful I am? Did it make you feel any better, Sae?"
"What? Oh no!"
"No?
Hijiri scoffs.
So insulting me didn't lift your spirits? What then, I ask you, is the point in assassinating my character so? It sounds like a complete waste of time."
Sae opens and closes her mouth, but no words come out. By this point, her face is ghastly pale, like porridge. Hijiri really is something. She can render even the most put-together people into bashful masses with naught but a glance. It's a good thing she's too lazy to use her powers for evil means.
More
most of the time, she shuts herself away in her room. She'd make for a pretty good nun, now that I think about it, though her attitude might be a touch too spiky. I'm very sorry, Hijiri. Sai eventually stammers after an awkward pause. I was being awfully rude. I hope you can forgive me.
There is nothing to forgive. You were only speaking the truth. I am frustrating. It's a fact I'm well aware of. I hardly need you to tell me that. I don't doubt that I've been the cause of many sleepless nights for you, Sai, or that I've given you more than your fair share of headaches. If anything, I'm the one who should be apologizing to you.
Hijiri smiles thinly.
But I think you'll come away from today's meeting feeling significantly more positive than you did during the last.
Oh? Sai's brow furrows. Mayu said something similar. Have you been working on your manuscript, Hijiri?
As if my life depends upon it, yes. Unlike your uncharitable assessment of me, you see, I'm not so very lazy I wouldn't attempt to put out the hypothetical flames if I caught a light.
Oh my. Did you hear me say that too?
I have good ears. Don't underestimate me. Now.
Hijiri glances about the entrance hall, arms folded.
This isn't the right place for such a discussion. Would you care to come to the living room with me, Sai?
Yes, of course.
What about me?
Should I hang back?
Strictly speaking, yes. The matters that I must discuss don't involve you. Your presence would be quite pointless.
Oof, that stinks. I know Hijiri's right, but did she have to say it like that? Clearly, she's never heard that sugar helps the medicine go down, which is funny, given how much she loves sweets.
I have no real need of you, but...
Hijiri demurs, her brown eyes focused upon mine.
Knowing you, it seems likely you'd try to eavesdrop on our conversation regardless.
If I could, I'd retort with a self-righteous cry of, "What do you take me for? I'm not that shameless." But in truth, I know Hijiri's right. I am that shameless. I'm so invested in Elf Forest, I'd definitely find a way to listen in, even after being barred entry from the room where it happens. I did it once before, and I definitely do it again. I've clearly not learned my lesson.
That being the case, you might as well join us. I'm sure you're just as interested in my progress, if not more so, than Sai is.
Huh? I blink at Hijiri, nonplussed. I didn't expect this. Is that really alright?
Do you want me to change my mind?
No, of course not.
Then come along. Let's not tarry.
Right, I pause, my fingers curled at my sides. Before I leave, do you want me to brew any tea? That's standard protocol whenever guests are over. My mother would sooner pull her fingernails out than forego the serving of tea to any guest. Hijiri, however, is far less house-proud than my mother is, and much more efficient.
It's fine. I can't imagine that our discussion will last all that long. The tea would be nothing more than a distraction. Unless you're thirsty, Sai?
Not particularly. I would far rather get down to brass tacks.
I thought you'd say that after all the fruitless meetings we've had. At this point, it would be best to dispense with pleasantries and get things over with. It's a bit like ripping off a band-aid. It hurts less the faster you do it.
Hijiri smiles thinly, then sets off anew through the hallway. Sai and I follow behind her until we arrive at the living room. Hijiri pulls the sliding door open, then ushers us inside. She waits until both Sai and I are seated, then sits herself on the opposite side of the table.
Now, let's get down to business.
Hijiri picks up a bulging manila envelope, which is lying on the tabletop, and hands it to Sai.
This is for you. Take it.
Oh? Sai turns the envelope over, her brow furrowed with curiosity. What's this? Part of your manuscript?
Not quite.
Then what is it?
It's all of my manuscript, not just a measly part of it. I finished the whole 9th volume of Elfforest, all 6 chapters of it.
What?
No way!
Both Sai and I stare at Hijiri, our mouths agape. I figured Hijiri must have done some work on Elfforest's next volume, but I never thought she'd have finished the whole thing. I know light novels are slimmer and shorter than most literary novels. By literary novels, I mean the kinds you see in bookshops, with dark and serious covers devoid of wide-eyed anime girls, but they're still packed with words. It takes me about 4 hours to read through a volume of Elfforest, which, granted, might be kinda slow, since I'm not the world's quickest reader. Somebody more used to skimming through text than I am might be able to get through a volume in half the time, but reading's totally different from writing. Did Hijiri really write volume 9 in a week? That's crazy. Is such productivity even possible?
You aren't joking, are you, Hijiri? Did you seriously finish the 9th volume already?
Hijiri nods briefly, almost imperceptibly. She looks utterly unmoved by her accomplishments, like it's no big deal. But to me, it's a very, very big deal indeed.
But if you had 6 chapters to write, and 7 days to write them in, then...
I blink.
Didn't you have to write, like, 1 whole chapter a day? Indeed, I did. Well done for figuring that out. You might just have the makings of a mathematics professor.
Hijiri smiles thinly.
I wrote 1 chapter a day and set the 7th day aside for proofreading. It was perfectly doable. I didn't have to push myself all that hard.
But isn't each chapter of Elfforest like thousands of characters?
Around 20,000 characters, yes.
And you wrote that much each day?
Indeed, I did. It isn't beyond the realms of possibility.
Maybe not for you, but I'd never be able to pull that off. I couldn't even write a 5,000 character essay for school in a day. They always took me a week at least, and even then I struggled to meet the character count.
Well, that's hardly a surprise.
Hijiri snorts dismissively.
You're not a writer, unlike me. Turning my thoughts into words is my only real talent. I'd be a poor author indeed if I couldn't manage this much. I know others who are capable of writing even more quickly than I am, to an even higher standard of quality.
Here Hijiri sighs.
I wouldn't have felt obliged to work as fast as I did, though, if I hadn't put this business off for such a long time. I confess my fingers do feel somewhat sore after all that typing.
Hijiri flexes her fingers to prove her point, her digits curling in mid-air.
But I suppose I brought it upon myself. I'm sure you've suffered worse, Sai, during your dealings with me. I hope my prior thoughtlessness didn't cause you too many concerns.
I can't lie, I was beginning to worry about Elf Forest's future.
You said as much, yes.
But this has done a good deal to I don't know how to pronounce this word. Assuage? Isn't it assuage? My concern. Just whatever. Sai opens the manila envelope, then extricates from within it a thick stack of white pages. She gives them a cursory flip through, her eyes roving back and forth before slotting them back into the envelope. Goodness me, you really have been busy.
I could hardly help myself. Once I got back into the swing of things, I found I couldn't stop. I rather enjoy writing this volume, despite my prior misgivings.
Well, that is a relief. I'd hate to think of you forcing all of this out. I've been working as an agent for a while, and I think all writers' best work comes from a genuine passion, rather than a sense of obligation.
I quite concur. I thought my well of inspiration had run dry, but I've had a change of mind since your previous visit.
I'm glad to hear it, but what prompted the sudden burst of activity? I doubt it was my lecture. You've never been one to listen to me.
No, indeed, it was not. Your lecture did make me feel guilty, but it didn't motivate me. The person who really changed my mind was Mayo.
Huh? Why is that so surprising? It was? Both Sai and I stare at Hijiri, both of us equally shocked, I think, at this revelation. I'm sure this has to be some kind of joke, but...
Indeed, it was. I'm being serious. I don't say things I don't mean. I don't like wasting my words.
Well, I never. I thought you'd be a good influence on Hijiri, Mayo, but I never imagined your company would help her this much. Sai looks at me with newfound respect, maybe? Reverence? I'm unsure. It's hard to read her expression. What did you say to Hijiri to get through to her? I've been trying for years, to limited results, while you've only known her for a month.
I don't know, really.
I just spouted a bunch of nonsense. Nonsense or not, it must have been convincing. You'll need to tell me your secrets.
What Maya said can't be replicated. Her passion is unique to her, I'm afraid. She didn't use any particularly fancy phrases, but still she was able to impress upon me her love for Elf Forest. Without her earnest support, I doubt I would have been able to dredge up the wherewithal to work on this volume. I was beginning to doubt my own abilities, but I think I can keep going.
Here Hijiri smiles, albeit softly.
Provided I have fans out there as enthusiastic as Mayo, that is.
"20,000 characters a day, huh? That really is something." Sai mutters this under her breath while pulling her shoes on by the entrance. She adjusts them one-handedly, the other still gripping the manila envelope, then straightens, her bobbed hair brushing her jaw. "I guess that's kind of special, huh?" Oh, yes. I've worked with many authors in my time, but it's rare to receive a full manuscript in such a short time frame. Though, considering the months of nothingness that preceded this, Hijiri's progress is still on the slower side. She could work out at half, no, a quarter of the speed she did this week, if only she was more consistent.
I guess being a pain is kind of Hijiri's thing.
It is indeed. It's her forte, in fact. Forget being a writer. She could be a professional pain in the backside. She can be impressive, though, when she puts her mind to it. I'm very appreciative of all her work. It should get my higher-ups off my back, for the present at least.
So...
I look at Saya curiously. Well, I'm sorry. I look at Saya curiously while toying with a strand of my hair.
What do you think of Hijiri's manuscript?
So far? Saya glances at the manila envelope that's tucked beneath her arm. I haven't had a chance to read it properly. I've only skimmed it.
I know, but what's your general impression? Does it seem interesting?
Hijiri's writing is always interesting. Whether or not it's publishable remains to be seen.
Do you think she'll have to rewrite a bunch of it?
She'll have to make changes, yes. I can tell you that much even before I've read it. When a series becomes as popular as Elf Forest, the writer must relinquish some creative control as a matter of course. A lot of important people are banking on Elf Forest's continued profitability.
Hijiri mentioned that before, but I didn't know how strict it was. I wonder if that's why she lost interest in the series?
I imagine that played a large part in it, yes. Hijiri has always been very protective of her stories. She doesn't like altering things that suit other people's taste, to suit other people's tastes. We've had a lot of arguments about suggested edits in the past. I just hope we don't need to change too much about this volume. It already took a small eternity for Hijiri to finish it, though I'm glad she did. Now we have a base to build on. It should be possible to finalize things. A good deal of progress has been made. Smiling, Saya nudges me with her elbow. And, as I gather, it's all thanks to you.
Oh, no! I don't think I did anything that special, really.
You're being too modest. I've talked to Hijiri about her productivity, or lack of, numerous times, but I've never made any headway. I don't know what you said to her, but it must have stuck. You've really talked her around. Perhaps you've not realized it, not having known Hijiri as long as I have, but I think she's changed since you moved in with her.
Do you really think so?
I know so. Saya nods decisively, her black bob fluttering. She's still as prickly as ever, but she seems more open to amenable conversation than she was. She's mellowed out a good deal. Talking to her is an almost pleasant experience now. You've been a wonderful influence on her, Mayo. Please, keep it up. Saya rests a hand upon my shoulder, then gives it a squeeze. You're making my job an awful lot easier. And, though Hijiri might not say it, I think you're making her happier too.
Really?
I look at Saya dubiously.
I always seem to annoy her.
Everybody annoys Hijiri, or so she claims. I wouldn't take it too hard. You'd know if she was genuinely upset with you. She isn't one to mince her words, nor hide her feelings. I gathered as much. She isn't the easiest person to get along with, but from my perspective, limited though it is, things seem to be going well. Hijiri did finish her manuscript, and that isn't all. She was smiling more than she used to, though I think she smiled the most when she was looking at you.
Huh?
I feel a hot flush creep to my cheeks. Suddenly shy, I have to glance away from Sai, my eyes averted. Do you really think so? I don't want to get my hopes up, but... I do, yes. Take it from me, as somebody who's known Hijiri for years. I think she's taken quite the liking to you. Saya gives my shoulder another comforting squeeze, then retracts it, a playful, almost mischievous smile flitting about her carmine mouth. I didn't know Hijiri had it in her to be so sweet. She really has changed. I see.
Goodness, dealing with Sai is always so tedious.
Hijiri sighs once Sai has gone, her head drooping. She looks utterly drained after that encounter, though she did little more than kneel at the table in the living room. I already knew this, but Hijiri's reaction to her and Sai's little tete-a-tete makes one thing blindingly obvious, namely that she isn't a people person. Hijiri seems to tolerate Sai, she's even spoken fondly of her in the past, but any discussion that lasts for more than half an hour seems more than Hijiri can stand. All things considered, it's a wonder she's able to put up with me at all. Maybe I should be grateful she even lets me talk to her?
You and Sai are quite similar. Do you know that?
Hijiri glowers at me while I'm in the process of pouring her a freshly brewed cup of green tea. I thought it might perk her up.
You don't look very much alike, but you're both annoying and intrusive. It must run in your family.
We are not really related, you know. She's only like an aunt to me.
Yes, well, her ways must have rubbed off on you.
Hijiri sniffs.
The pair of you will be the death of me. Neither of you take no for an answer. If it weren't for your nagging, I never would have pushed myself like I did. But I suppose things worked out for the best. I am relieved I was able to finish Volume 9 at long last. I passed my deadline goodness knows how many times. If it had been a university essay, my lecturers would have long since given up on me. I think even Saya was nearing her limit, however boundless her patience might appear.
Hijiri traces the rim of her cup with her index finger. Her expression is pensive, her eyes half-lidded.
Though I risk inflating your ego, I must give credit where it is due. None of this would have happened were it not for you.
Hijiri surveys me from beneath a sweep of long eyelashes. Her expression is hard to gauge, but I can sense the gratitude in her voice alone, and how it trembles.
Thank you, Mayo, for supporting me. I really do appreciate it.
It's no problem. I might have cheered you on, yeah, but you're the one who did all the actual work. Nothing would have happened if you hadn't put pen to paper.
Do you really think I don't know that?
Hijiri scoffs.
I'm the one who did all the real work, of course. And putting pen to paper? Don't make me laugh.
That's funny. Hijiri doesn't look like she's about to laugh. I don't think I've heard her laugh since my first day here, when Barney gave me the fright of my life. It's been almost a month since then. I thought I'd never settle in here. But now look at me. Hijiri's home feels almost as welcome as mine. Time sure does fly.
I don't write with a pen and paper. That's archaic. Why, it's positively primeval. We live in the 21st century. Laptops exist for a reason. I'm not going to write something out physically only to type it up later. What a crock of nonsense.
Hijiri shakes her head dismissively.
I do everything on my PC. I don't mean to boast, but I'm quite the accomplished typist.
I bet you are, to type a whole chapter in a week. That's, really incredible. I pour myself a cup of tea, taking no heed of Hijiri's scorn. At this point I'm used to it, then sink back onto my haunches. Facing Hijiri from the opposite side of the table, I take my cup into both hands and bring it to my lips. I sip my tea, savoring its soothing flavor, then set the cup aside.
So, did you like writing the ninth volume of Elf Forest? I really can't wait to read it. I'm afraid you'll have to wait. It still needs to be edited, then proofread, then formatted. There's a lot of work left to go. It won't be ready for publication for another month at the absolute earliest. I wouldn't be surprised if the higher-ups at Horizon tried to push it out more quickly than usual, though. Elf Forest's anime is airing in October. There isn't long to go. As for whether or not I enjoyed writing it...
Hijiri wrinkles her nose.
I didn't despise it, as I feared I might, but there are many other stories I would rather be working on.
Such as?
All sorts. I have a lot of ideas, but I don't have the time to explore any of them properly. I've written a few chapters of these more promising concepts, but Sai doesn't care to look through them. She tells me I should focus on Elf Forest. She doesn't believe I have the time to begin yet another series. And she's probably right. The large lapse between Volume 8 and Volume 9 of Elf Forest says a lot about my working capabilities. I haven't done myself any favors, but how can I help my lack of interest when Elf Forest has become so trite? I want to write more mature stories, set in the real world, with characters who act and think like real people. I'm tired of writing escapist fantasy tropes. But that, as Sai says, is what the market wants. I'm sure she's right about that too. She manages a lot of aspiring authors, most of whom are far less successful than I am. Sai has figures to back up her claims. I have no room for complaint, really. And yet...
Hijiri sighs.
There's a lot of other things I want to write, but my wants are irrelevant. The market only cares about Elf Forest. My old fans keep buying my latest volumes, and new fans buy the earliest ones. My sales figures keep rising, which means I have an obligation to keep working. I've been shackled to Elf Forest for 4 years already. When will I be allowed to quit? In 5 years? 10? 15? When I look at my future, I can't see anything else. Thinking about it like that is pretty depressing.
Hijiri. I lean across the table, meaning to rest a hand on Hijiri's shoulder, but soon decide against it. I don't think that'll be of any help to her. Instead, I offer her a small smile. You don't need to think about that now. You've finished Volume 9 at least. That's good enough. Now, why don't we go for a walk? It might help you feel better. You've been cooped up inside for way too long, staring at your laptop, so of course you'd feel depressed. Fresh air is just what the doctor ordered.
Oh?
Hijidi's lip curls.
Don't take that authoritative tone with me. You're not a doctor. I'd sooner let Cornelia operate on me than I would you.
Cornelia is a famously clumsy character. She's always tripping over her own feet, but she doesn't let that get her down. She's determined to become a famous knight, like her beloved hero, Luz, so she can defend her kingdom from invaders. I'm surprised Hijiri would bring up one of her own characters in casual conversation, given how much she seems to dislike her own work, but it makes me smile regardless.
I don't much like going outside anyway. That's where other people are, and they're all stupid.
Mood. Big mood.
Dealing with the world is a huge hassle. But dealing with my own thoughts can be even worse at times. Will you look out for me if I agree to go with you?
Of course, that's like part of my job. You can count on me.
I wonder about that.
Hijidi's tone is scoffing, but she smiles regardless.
Well, at least you're not utterly useless. You've proven your worth during the last week, so I shall bequeath myself unto you. Please look out for me. Protect me from all the stupid people in the world. I will be placing myself in your care.
There are dark purplish-blue bags beneath Hijidi's eyes, and her skin looks washed out from lack of sleep, but I don't think she's completely worn out. If she was, she wouldn't be able to joke around like this. That's quite the relief, given how hard she's been working. Hijiri might be a pessimistic person, but she tries her hardest. I can't help but respect her for that. They always say, don't meet your idols, but Hijiri hasn't disappointed me. She might have hurt me once or twice, yeah, but I know I've done the same thing to her. I think that might be inevitable. We're human, so of course we'll upset one another. But Hijiri's an incredibly hard worker. She's even more dutiful than Cornelia, and she's much less clumsy. How could I not like her?
Don't worry, Hijiri. You'll be fine with me. I guarantee it. It's such a nice day.
I sigh, contented, as I walk through the forest. The sun's rays are bright, but the dense bower of leaves above my head blocks the worst of them. The light that does reach the forest floor, meanwhile, is of the mild variety, warm enough to soothe, not scald. When I inhale, I can smell the scent of the foliage, mingled with a rich aroma of earth. My nostrils twitch as I drink it all in. I can hear birds chirping among themselves in the trees, hidden out of sight, and the air swells with the humming of hundreds of cicadas. Winged insects flit about in the air, darting from flower to flower. It's such a peaceful scene. It looks like something lifted from a fairy tale. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if I stumbled upon an enchanted cottage made of gingerbread, sitting in the middle of a clearing. These woods sure are pretty. I smile, more to myself than to Hijiri, who looks utterly unmoved by the beauties of nature. She's not said a word, actually, since we set off on our little walk. Right now, she's doing a wonderful impression of a Jesus statue. I wonder if she'd respond if I prodded her. That might be an amusing experiment if I wasn't afraid that she'd scold me for it. well, I won't let Hijiri's churlishness spoil my fun. She's probably used to the forest, having lived in this village for... Actually, I don't know how long she's lived out here, but it must have been a few years at the very least. I, meanwhile, spent all my childhood in Kawasaki. I don't have any relatives out in the countryside, so my parents have never had any reason to travel too far afield. This is still new to me. The intense greenery of my surroundings is very novel. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to properly enjoy this forest when I last came here, but I feel a lot better now. My feet are so light, I almost feel like I could fly. You're so lucky, Hijiri, having this on your doorstep. I'd love to be able to wander around the woods whenever I feel like it.
You're exaggerating. The forest isn't anything special.
Hijiri scuffs at the ground with the tip of her shoe, her lips pursed into a pout.
You can find forests everywhere. There's nothing to recommend about them. Particularly not in the summer, when they're full of nasty insects. I can't stand bugs.
Really? I didn't know that. I grin, then nudge Hijiri in the side with my elbow. Are you the sort who screams when you see a cockroach?
No. What do you take me for? A 2-year-old? I'm not afraid of insects, I just dislike them. They're small, so they get in places they shouldn't, and they're so fast. Creepy too.
Hijiri shudders.
They have entirely too many legs, or too many eyes, and some of them bite. They're disgusting. The world would be better off without them.
I'm surprised you feel so passionately about this. I giggle, then link my arms behind my head. I'm not a fan of bugs either, but I wouldn't call for them to be culled. They're pretty useful, or so I've heard.
Not in my bathtub, they're not.
Well, you might have a point there. Alright, what about this? The next time you find a creepy crawly in the bathtub, or in your bedroom, or the kitchen, or anywhere, you should tell me. I'll take care of it, no problem.
You don't need to go that far. I'm not a child, like I said. I dealt with my own spiders before you arrived, and I'm sure I'll be able to deal with them when you leave.
I won't be leaving for a while though, right?
That depends.
On what?
My mood.
That's not exactly reassuring. I let my hands fall from my head, then peered curiously at my companion. I thought things were good between us.
They're fine for now, but don't get complacent. I can change my mind just like that.
Hijiri clicks her fingers, or at least she tries to. She doesn't succeed though. Maybe her hands are damp from perspiration, or maybe she's out of practice. Either way, it makes me snort. I know I probably shouldn't laugh in my employer's face, especially not when we're discussing my potential future dismissal, but I can't help it. I didn't know Hijiri had a clumsy side.
Hey!
Hijiri glowers at me, her arms folded.
Don't laugh at me.
I wasn't laughing at you. That's not the most convincing argument, but it's the only one I can make. Admitting that I was, in fact, laughing at Hijiri seems like a good way to go about being lectured. That, or fired. Hijiri, of course, remains unconvinced. She looks at me coolly, hands planted on her hips, and says,
Then what was that strange sound you made?
That was, I had something caught on my throat. Hijiri presses her lips together.
Alright, I'll believe you for now, but don't try to make a fool out of me. I'm not in a good mood.
Really? I blink, taken aback by this announcement. Aren't you happy that you finished writing Volume 9 of Elf Forest?
It's a relief, yes, but I don't know if I'm happy about it. And I'm not quite finished yet either. I'm certain Sarah will tell me to change things once she's read through the chapters I handed her. I can't let myself relax until it's all been okayed, and I really don't like walking in the woods.
Because of the insects? Hijiri nods.
The mosquitoes are particularly annoying. They're almost as insistent as my fans. For some reason, they can't keep away from me. I wish they'd leave me alone.
The mosquitoes?
And my fans.
Oh, now that was pretty pointed. Did she mean that as a jab? Hijiri might be lacking the protruding proboscis. Now that's a good word, is it? That mosquitoes have, but I think her words are even more piercing. Sorry about that. At the very least, I can promise I'm not going to suck your blood. You can rest easy on that score. Speaking of blood though, now I'm curious. You don't have some super rare blood type, do you?
No, I'm plain old A.
I don't think anything about you is plain. Apart from your fashion sense, maybe. I ponder, one hand beneath my chin.
I wonder why mosquitoes like you so much. Could it be that your blood is actually really delicious? I wouldn't know. I haven't thought to taste it.
Maybe they're attracted to your sunny disposition then. Hijiri laughs dryly, without humor, then abruptly slaps her upper arm with her palm. A dull smack rings throughout the forest, mingled with the sounds of our footsteps. I look at Hijiri askance. Was that a mosquito?
It got away though.
Hijiri draws her palm away. I can't see any smushed insect smeared on her skin, but I can see a small smear of blood about the size of a pinhead. Hijiri winces.
I'll be full of holes when we get back. This is why I can't stand going outside.
I take it you're not a country girl? Hijiri shakes her head. But you don't like crowded places either? She shakes her head again. So, forests are out, and so are cities. What's left?
The Antarctic, maybe?
Wouldn't that be kind of chilly?
It would suit my personality.
You're not wrong about that. But I don't think you're that cold.
Other people would disagree.
Maybe they would, but I'm not other people. Just like you're not other writers. Don't think I've forgotten that you said that. We are just ourselves at the end of the day, and I think you're pretty fun to talk to.
You'd be the only one to think that, assuming you aren't humoring me. But thank you. I'm not finding your company quite as tiresome as it could be, although
Hijiri slaps her arm again, then winces.
I wish these mosquitoes would leave me alone. Did you get it?
Hijiri shakes her head.
Maybe the third time will be the charm.
Do you think it'd be possible to catch a mosquito between your thumb and forefinger, like characters do in action movies?
For me personally, I doubt it. I've always been terrible at sports.
What about Luz? Could she do it?
I can't say I ever thought about it.
Really? But there's that scene in Volume 8 where she gets into that fight with Fia and she stops the sword with one hand. That was really cool.
That was also fictional.
I guess. Hijiri and I continued to meander about the forest, chatting idly all the while. What is with my reading today? I'm so sorry. Our conversation is aimless, but I'm enjoying it regardless. I think this is the first time I've ever felt so relaxed in Hijiri's company. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope Hijiri is too, despite her thwarted attempts at warding off a throng of blood-sucking fans. Eventually, guided by the distant sound of running water, we arrive at the banks of a river. The trees are thinner here, and the sunlight shines upon our heads more harshly. It shines upon the river too, as it wends its lazy way through the forest, twisting and turning like the body of a serpent. The water in the river is a clear greenish blue, and it glimmers in the sunlight. Tall grass fringes the river's banks, and even more winged insects hover in the air above it. These insects have patterned wings like stained glass and long thin bodies, like pipe cleaners, which leads me to believe that they're dragonflies. They're much prettier than the mosquitoes that have been tormenting Hijiri, and they seem more docile. They flit here and there, their wings humming, so fast I can scarcely follow them. Ooh, wow! This is gorgeous! Don't you think so, Hijiri?
It's not bad, I suppose. I'm not sure it was worth the walk, though. I feel tired.
That's probably because you don't exercise enough. I poke Hijiri in the side teasingly. I think you'll be fine.
And if I'm not? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Hijiri pouts.
You're so thoughtless. I prefer happy-go-lucky. Yes, so, like I said, thoughtless.
I don't think those phrases mean quite the same.
They might as well.
Now. Aren't you the one who said each word has its own meaning? You can't muddy them like that, or it'll defeat the point.
Touché.
I grin. What? Oh my god. I know some of these words and still can't pronounce them. I grin. What? By my victory? No matter how small, then survey the river. I can see silvery scales flashing beneath the water, bright and white in the sunlight. They must be fish, but I can't for the life of me identify what fish they are. I don't know the first thing about nature. I wonder if they taste good? Hey Hijiri, do you think I can skip a rock to the other side of this river?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Not really, no, but it'll be something fun to do. I've never tried this before. Let's see how it goes. I bend, then retrieve a smooth, flat rock from the riverbank. I grip the rock, straighten my back, then try to skip it into the water, like I've seen characters do in movies. Unfortunately, I don't have much practice. I can't flick my wrist right, so the rock, when it sails from my hand, sinks like a rock. Not one to be deterred, I bend to retrieve a second rock. I adjust my posture when I throw it, but it goes the same way as the first, to the silty bottom of the riverbank, with an anticlimactic plop. Hijiri watches as I try, and fail, to skip a third rock, then a fourth, her arms still resolutely folded. A lukewarm breeze blows, which stirs a few loose tendrils of her hair about her face. She frowns.
Why do you keep doing that?
Because it's fun.
You find failing over and over fun?
Hijiri's lips curl.
Are you a masochist?
No, I'm not. It's just...
Look at it this way. It's natural that you'll fail when you start doing something new, but you can't let it get to you. You've got to take things in your stride, otherwise you'll never be able to improve.
So saying, I arc my right hand back and skip my seventh, or is it my eighth, rock? Whichever it is, this attempt goes better than the previous ones. I actually managed to skip it once before the river swallows it in a spray of white droplets. Ripples fan out across the water's surface, then fade once the rock sinks to the riverbed.
All right.
I punch my fist in the air, all smiles. It looks like I'm getting better. What do you think, Hijiri?
I think you're overreacting. This is hardly worth getting excited about. But you are improving, yes, I'll grant you that.
Thanks. I grin, then fish about for the next rock. I talk to Hijiri while I practice, my eyes focused on the opposite bank fringed with trees, rather than her face. I don't need to see it to know she's probably frowning. So, I was wondering...
What is it?
Hijiri's fingers tap against the inside of her arm.
Knowing you, I'm sure it's something stupid.
Maybe it is. I just wanted to know, don't you ever get bored, cooped up inside your house?
Not really. I have so much to do, I don't often have the luxury of being bored.
Fed up then? It can't be much fun sitting indoors all the time, and it seems like such a waste. You live in a pretty nice part of the world. It's kind of isolated, yeah, but I bet there's a lot of scenic places to visit. You can drive, right?
I can. There'd be no point having a car otherwise.
Don't you ever drive anywhere yourself? You know, for walks and stuff? I don't know much about writing, but that sounds like a good way to get inspiration. You wouldn't even need to deal with other people, not if you go to the mountains.
I can barely stand walking through this forest. What makes you think I'd want to go to the mountains? Please, use some common sense. Besides,
Hijiri inhales.
Even if there was anywhere I wanted to go, which there isn't, I wouldn't be able to. I don't like driving very much.
Why not? Is it the country roads? I know they're a bit of a pain to navigate.
They don't help, but it's more than that. I can drive. I can probably... No. Definitely drive better than you can, but...
But I pause on my attempts at rock skipping, not making much progress, then turn to Hijiri. She's standing by the river bank, her head bowed, the fingers on her right hand curled about her left wrist. Her shoulders are drawn, her back hunched. Hijiri's height, or lack of, struck me during our very first meeting, but right now she looks smaller than ever, and even more delicate. I haven't hit a nerve, have I? Are you alright?
I'm fine. It's just... well... this isn't something I like to talk about, but you would probably find out about it sooner or later. If not from me, then from Sai. She can't help but poke her nose into my business. I know she does it because she cares for me, but...
Hijiri's voice trails off once more. She sighs. Then she raises her head, her brown eyes meeting mine, and says,
5 years ago, I got into a car accident.
What? I was expecting this more or less, but it still comes as a shock. Was it serious? Were you alright, Hijiri?
Naturally. Can't you see as much? You do have eyes, don't you?
Hijiri scoffs, but her voice lacks some of its typical bite.
I'm alright now, like I said it was a while ago, but it was pretty unnerving at the time. I was 23 when it happened. This was before I started working on Elf Forest, and before I became Tsuchimi Rui. Back then, I still lived with my mother in Ibaraki. We only had one car between us, my mother and me, which she usually used to get to work. I'd always take the train to get to university, though it was about an hour away. I remember thinking it was inconvenient. I don't much like using public transport. There are too many people, and the trains get so hot and crowded during the summer.
That doesn't come as a surprise. I can't imagine Hijiri would be thrilled at the prospect of public transport. Few people like being jostled about in cramped train compartments, and Hijiri is even more averse to spending time with strangers than most. It must have been hell for her.
My mother wasn't feeling well, so she took the day off work. I thought I might as well use a car to save me the hassle of another train journey. I'd passed my driving test on my very first attempt, and I'd never been involved in any accidents before. I didn't even consider the possibility of something going wrong, but...
Hijiri's voice trails off. She doesn't elaborate on what exactly happened, but she doesn't need to. I have enough information to fill in the blanks. Something must have gone awry. I don't know whether that something was Hijiri's fault or a reckless driver's, but I don't suppose that matters too much. The end result is more important than the specifics.
It was an unpleasant experience. Not that I remember much of it. I was in the hospital for a long time. My mind was all muddled. The other person got off with minor injuries, but I cracked 3 of my ribs and broke my left arm. The car was completely ruined, of course. All things considered, I was probably lucky to survive. I was able to recover, as you can see, but I've not felt much like driving after that. I keep thinking about what might happen if I were to get behind a wheel and... I don't know.
Hijiri shakes her head.
I still remember how to drive. I know I'm physically capable of it, but I can't bring myself to attempt it. It's been 5 years since the accident, but...
Hijiri grits her teeth together.
I still dream about it sometimes. Isn't that ridiculous? I really need to get over myself. Otherwise, I'll never be able to get past this. I must sound so stupid.
Hijiri's derisive tone makes me wince. Hearing her story was painful enough, despite it being so abridged. But her own self-effacement is even worse. Oh, Hijiri. My voice drops to a whisper. I wish you wouldn't be so hard on yourself. Though she doesn't say it in so many words, I think I know what Hijiri's problem is. She must be afraid, and she wouldn't be after being involved in a traumatic accident like that. I try to be happy-go-lucky, but I doubt even I would be able to get back into the swing of things after being banged up so badly. Healing takes time, or so I've heard. Hijiri's physical wounds might have recovered, but mental scars can take far longer to fade. I can't help but feel for her. She looks so frail, like a doll. I want nothing more than to hold her in my arms and to console her. I can't stand to see her trembling. It'll be all right, Hijiri. Don't you worry. I'll stay with you so you don't need to fret. I'm going to take good care of you from now on.
What? Hey, Mayo, what are you...
Hijiri begins, but she's unable to finish. I descend upon her, my arms outstretched, meaning to pull her into an embrace. My only intention is to comfort Hijiri. I don't have ulterior motives, I swear. But she doesn't seem to appreciate the gesture. That much is made readily apparent when she pushes me away.
Stop that. I didn't ask for your pity.
I know that, but you looked so sad. I just wanted to cheer you up.
I appreciate the sentiment, but but you're going about it all wrong. I don't need to be coddled. In the future, I'd appreciate it if you could keep your distance.
Hijiri turns her nose up in the air and flounces away, arms folded. Unfortunately for her, however, she flounces a touch too dramatically. Her right foot slides out from underneath her, and then... Hijiri falls with a high-pitched squeal. Hijiri! I reach out, meaning to catch her outstretched hand, but I'm too late. I can only watch, alarmed, as my companion topples over backwards. She arcs through the air, a few loose tendrils of brown hair fluttering about her. Then, with an almighty splash, she lands in the river. Droplets of water fly everywhere, like confetti, and Hijiri splutters. She's sprawled in the water, which reaches up to her waist, her legs splayed. One of her buns has come undone, and half her long, wavy hair is trailing in the water. Hijiri is dripping wet from head to toe.
Mayo, you crocodile! This is all your fault!
And she looks incredibly pissed off. I can't say I blame her, given the circumstances, but geez. I really hope she doesn't hold this against me. Sorry about earlier, Hijiri. I guess I got a little carried away.
Really, I hadn't noticed.
Hijiri's reply is steely. I can't see her face, given her back is positioned towards me, but I've spent enough time in her company now to imagine her expression. She'll be scowling, in all likelihood, and I suppose I can't fault her for it. She did fall into the river thanks to my antics. Had I been less hands-on, this wouldn't have happened. Okay, but you didn't push her or something. I honestly wouldn't say it's like your fault completely, you know? I've got to learn to control myself. I can't go around hugging women indiscriminately, no matter how cute they might be. That seems like a surefire way to get into trouble. If only Hijiri wasn't so adorable. It's hard for me to keep a cool head when we're together. Those big brown eyes of her do something to me, and then, before I know it, all my self-control evaporates. That sounds like a flimsy excuse even inside my own head. I don't think I'm in a position to try and defend myself, so I offer Hijiri another apology. It's the least I can do. I really am sorry. I was totally out of line. You didn't hurt yourself, did you?
It's fine. I've endured worse. You don't need to worry.
Right. My brow furrows. I wonder if Hijiri's talking about her car accident? I suppose a tumble into the river would seem, by comparison, a trivial matter. Nothing more than a mild inconvenience. It's funny to think that, up until a few hours ago, I had no idea Hijiri had been involved in something so unpleasant. I claim to be Hijiri's #1 fan, but there's a lot about her I don't know. We've been living under the same roof for little under a month, and during this time, I can count the number of heartfelt conversations we've had on one hand. I hope that changes in due course. I really would like to get to know her better. I think that's why I offered to brush Hijiri's hair this evening, after she stepped out of the bathtub. I wanted to apologize to her, but there was a selfish bent to my motives. I wanted to talk to her more. I like being with Hijiri, though she often derides me. I've grown used to her barbs. Maybe I really am a masochist. I didn't expect Hijiri would let me into her bedroom, not after the day's prior disaster, so it was quite the surprise when she relented. It came as an even bigger surprise when, after some consideration on Hijiri's part, she actually allowed me to brush out the knots in her hair.
My hair is so long and thick it takes forever to maintain. My arm always gets tired when I try to brush it myself. It's a bother. If you want to comb it yourself, you're more than welcome. I don't glean any enjoyment from it, and you do owe me one. Just try to exercise some caution for once in your life, and don't tug too hard. I'll never forgive you if you make a mess of my hair.
It's been 5 minutes since Hijiri gave me her seal of approval, and now the pair of us are sitting together on Hijiri's bed. Hijiri is positioned in front of me, her head bowed, cross-legged like a child during a school assembly. Her hair, which she usually ties back in those messy twin buns, is loose, and it tumbles around her shoulders in auburn waves. I run a brush slowly through these curls, taking care not to tug it. I don't want to cause Hijiri any further discomfort, not after I already managed to spoil her day. I'm trying to be careful. How does it feel? I pick at a knot with the bristles of the brush, doing my level best to untangle it. Hijiri stepped out of the bath only 15 minutes prior, and she didn't do a very thorough job drying herself off. Her hair is still damp, and her tracksuit is clinging to her. When I sweep Hichiri's hair to one side, I can see droplets of water tracking their lazy, lackadaisical way down the column of her neck. Hichiri smells good, at least, of soap and shampoo. A pleasant floral aroma exudes from her hair, which offsets the fusty smell? Did you mean musty? Smell of her darkened bedroom? Somewhat. Am I hurting you?
No, it's fine.
Hichiri's voice is soft when she replies, and smooth like honey. I imagine her eyes must be half-lidded, her fingers curled upon her lap.
You're surprisingly good at this.
Well, thanks. I grin, not that Hichiri can see it, and continue my ministrations. I have pretty long hair myself, so I know how to go about looking after it. Back in high school, I spent all my math classes hunting for split ends. I'm basically a pro.
You shouldn't sound so proud of that.
Hichiri sighs.
I feel sorry for your math teacher. You must have been a real problem student.
Hey, I wasn't that bad.
Are you sure?
Well, maybe my teacher did get on my case once or twice.
Or dare I postulate, thrice?
Well, yeah, but it's not my fault math is boring. It's not like I've ever needed to know how to expand brackets in the real world. And besides, I pout. Even if I had paid attention, I doubt anything would have stuck. It's hard to be invested in things if you don't care about them, you know?
Oh, I know. I'm only too aware.
I think hunting for split ends was a significantly more productive use of my time than memorizing whatever it was dead-eyed Saito was trying to hammer into my head.
Dead-eyed Saito?
Yeah, some of us kids called him that. He looked miserable all the time, like he was gonna up and croak or something. He was really skinny, and he had these crazy bags under his eyes. He used to give me the creeps. He was just like a zombie.
That does tend to happen to high school teachers, yes. It's not a very rewarding job, particularly not when you're stuck with students like you. The pay is poor, the hours are long, and they're expected to work miracles. It's not possible to coax A grades out of every single student, but they still try.
Hichiri exhales.
Did you never think to feel sorry for Saito?
No, why should I? He was my math teacher.
He was still human.
Silly Hichiri. I prod Hichiri in the side, so she squeaks. People who like math aren't human, they can't be. That's a bit extreme, but okay. There's no way I could ever comprehend them or their strange alien brains. Mutual understanding is impossible.
I don't mind math. I was pretty good at it back in school.
Figures.
You don't sound surprised by that?
Nuh-uh. You strike me as the sort who was good at everything. A real all-rounder.
I was, for the most part. I didn't like PE very much, though.
That doesn't come as a surprise either. I giggle. I guess we're pretty dissimilar. Not that I need a record of your past exam results to know that much. I find you pretty hard to comprehend too at times, but I am trying. I really do want us to be friends, despite our differences. I'm being serious about this.
I know. I can tell. It's...
Hichiri pauses. A brief silence passes between us, split only by the sound of my own breathing, and the brush as it slides through Hijidi's long hair. I wonder what Hijidi means to say. My imagination is overactive as per usual, and it hastens to fill in the missing adjective. Annoying, maybe? Exhausting? Irritating? I suppose irritating carries the same meaning as annoying, but given Hijidi is a writer, she must have a wealth of synonyms tucked away inside that head of hers. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of ways to express annoyance. There's frustrating and aggravating, and vexing too. Hijidi could hit me with any of these descriptors, and I'd be powerless to argue back. I actually agree with her. I can be pretty annoying, irritating, frustrating, aggravating, and vexing. Sometimes I get on my own nerves. What Hijidi eventually says, however, after this pause, shakes me.
It's appreciated.
Huh? I blink at Hijidi, or to be more precise, I blink at the crown of her head. The brush is still gripped in my right hand, but I've come to a complete standstill. I'm not entirely sure what to say in response. All I can do is gawp. Hijidi, you... It's a good thing Hijidi is resolutely facing the wall, or she'd see how flushed my face is. Do you really mean that?
I do, yes. You should know by now that I don't say things if I don't mean them. You can be irritating at times.
Aha! So now she's breaking out the insults. I was wondering when this would happen.
But you're an earnest person. Considerate too, when you aren't knocking me into large bodies of water, that is.
That was a one-time thing.
I would certainly hope so. Otherwise, we'll need to have stern words.
Almost all your words are stern.
Almost, but not all of them. I think I'm being very reasonable right now. I had my misgivings in the beginning, but I don't hate having you around. In fact, I think I might like it. Having somebody to talk to, I mean. Your company isn't unpleasant, but please don't get a swollen head. You're not perfect. Not by any means. Nobody is, least of all myself. But if you're not too disillusioned with me, then...
Hijidi glances at me from over her shoulder. Her wavy locks flutter about her slender shoulders, framing her face, and a rare small smile flitters upon her lips.
I think I might like to try being your friend. I'm not completely opposed to the idea, and you are awfully pushy. It'd be a waste of energy to fight against it any further.
Hijidi, you... I open my mouth, then close it. I feel so overwhelmed, I'm not entirely sure what I should say, or what I should be doing. My emotional state is in shambles.
Mayo?
Hijidi blinks.
Are you alright? You're pulling quite the curious face. You aren't having a stroke, are you?
No, I'm not. At least, I don't think I am.
Good. That would be inconvenient. I wouldn't like it if you passed out, or away, on my bed. We aren't yet at a stage in our relationship where I'd feel comfortable sharing a bed with you, and I am not sleeping on the floor.
Not yet? I parrot dumbly, my face flushing. What exactly is Hijidi implying here? She doesn't mean that I'm in with a chance, does she? Or does she? Oh geez, now I don't know what to think.
Not yet. Or ever. I was joking.
Oh, yes, of course. That would make sense.
I I wasn't joking about being your friend though. That I am serious about. It's been a long while since I had any friends. I always thought that they were unnecessary, but even I can get lonely. Having you about the house brightens it up, so please don't die on me. Barney is the only corpse I need around here. Right. I'll do my best not to croak, I guess. Yes, you do that. Now.
Hijiri turns her back towards me once more, her hands resting demurely on her lap.
Will you finish my hair, please? The knots won't untangle themselves. Yes, of course. Right away, milady. You don't need to call me that either. It's giving me the shivers, and not in a good way. Hijiri is fine. Right. I'm sorry. I'll get back to work, Hijiri. Thank you, Mayo. I'll leave myself in your capable hands.
Hijiri shuffles against me, her mane of wavy hair inches from my face. The enticing scent of shampoo wafts from it, engulfing me in a flowery aroma. I sigh. My fingers, when I next introduce the comb to Hijiri's hair, are shaking. I would hug Hijiri if I could, but I'm afraid of mussing up her hair, and I'm even more afraid that my heart wouldn't be able to take it. It's already pounding fit to burst. Instead, I look at Hijiri's back, my fingers buried in her tresses. And then, I smile. Thank you, Hijiri.
Why are you thanking me?
For accepting me, I guess. And for being so sweet to me.
That's alright. I've been under a lot of pressure, but I feel much better having finished Volume 9 of Elf Forest. It's easy to be sweet when you're not so stressed you feel like your brain is melting.
I guess so. I don't know if I'll be of much use going forward, but I'd like to keep cheering you on. I really do like you, Hijiri. And I really am happy to be your friend. Now, wasn't that sweet? Oh, and the episode has gone on far longer than I wanted. This whole game is going far longer than I expected. Because... so on the shop page it said like 4 to 6 hours on average. And of course that depends on how fast you read, and of course I'm taking longer with the game than you would if you didn't read everything out loud. But I mean, look at the videos I did and add up the time. And we're not even finished. And I think we still have a bit to go in this game. So yeah, that should be enough for today. We got some really cute scene there. And some very good progress on their relationship. Yeah, let's see how much more we can improve on that, eh? Until next time. Bye bye!